If you had one shot or one opportunity to seize everything you ever wanted in one moment, would you capture it or just let it slip? Yo. His palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy. There's vomit on his sweater already. Mom's spaghetti, he's nervous, but on the surface he looks calm and ready to drop bombs. But he keeps on forgetting what he wrote down. The whole crowd goes so loud, he opens his mouth, but the words won't come out. He's choking how? Everybody's choking now. The clock's run out, time's up, over, loud. Snap back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. Oh, there goes rabbit. He choke. He's so mad, but he won't give up. Daddies, he know he won't have it. He knows his whole back to these ropes. It don't matter, he's dope. He knows that, but he's broke. He's so stacked that he knows when he goes back to this mobile home, that's when it's back to the lab again, yo. This old rhapsody better go back to this moment and hope it don't pass him.
Listen, we can talk about the flag, but let's talk about the team. Wait.
And a very good morning, everybody. Welcome to Trending in the AM right here on DSM Media. We're live. Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, you know the drill. Like and share this video on all social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. And if you're on YouTube, make sure you do me a favor, hit like and subscribe on this video. And, you know, if you're watching on Facebook or Twitter or Twitch, do us a favor, head over to the YouTube page. It's the best place to get involved with the show and hit that subscribe button because there is YouTube exclusive content to the DSM Media brand. So if you're watching on YouTube and you subscribe, turn those notifications on, you'll never miss a minute of the DSM action. I'm your host, Phil Stifle, here this morning. Shoot me a follow on Twitter at Beard and Knowledge. I got my main man, Jason Voorhees, here at Mustang3651. We got a jam-packed show talking Phillies today to start the day. Just wrapped up a big series sweep against the Marlins, an unexpected series sweep, unexpected results to the series this weekend. It's the All-Star break week here now, so we get a little bit of a break and reprieve from baseball. So we're going to talk a little home run derby today because Kyle Schwarber is in it. And we're going to do our bold second-half predictions for this Phillies team today because I think there's some opportunities for a bold second half for the Phillies. Easier schedule, etc. So we're going to dive into all that. Good morning, Jason. How you doing today?
I'm doing lovely, man. Just a little tired, as always, on a Monday morning. But had a great weekend. For those that didn't get a chance to see it, I actually made an appearance on the Hayden Hurst fantasy football, the mental health podcast over the weekend. They had a ton of people on there. It was a 2-day event and to raise money for mental health awareness. So that was a very, very, humbling thing to be able to, be on that show. So, but overall had a great weekend, worked retail like you. So
nobody wants to hear about our lovely life in retail anymore. I think they're tired of us complaining about how much our life is awesome.
Well, if you get us a job in podcasting, we won't have to worry about it.
Oh, I have to do all the work, right? I got to get us the job.
Well, you're the expert.
Oh, that's a stretch right there for sure. Anyway, let's talk Phillies. Let's dive right into it, okay? Phillies win yesterday, 4-0 behind. Aaron Nola dealing again. But big picture also, they won 10-1, I think it was, on Saturday night. On Friday, Kyle Gibson outdueled Sandy Alcantara. I mean, the whole weekend. I mean, if you would have written that script Friday morning or Thursday night and said, this is how this Phillies series is going to play out, a series that I did say last week was extremely, extremely crucial, that we were snowfalling. We lost 4 in a row coming into this series, that if we didn't take care of business this series against the Marlins, it could have domino affected into a really bad start for the second half of the season for the Phillies. And what did the Phillies come out and do? Outduel Sandy Alcantara. Not just the best pitcher in baseball, but a pitcher that since he was a rookie has been dominating the Phillies organization. And then you go and you win a game on Saturday easily. And then Aaron Nola does what a top-tier pitcher should do, shut down a bad team. I think it was basically the perfect script this weekend, Jason, on setting up the Phillies for their second half run.
I mean, I have to agree with you 100%. I mean, I honestly, to be able to win a 3-game sweep for the first time in Florida since 2012. It's pretty impressive. I mean, we all know that we've struggled against this Marlins team. I mean, it's like almost like they're our kryptonite. And as you mentioned, it's kind of the way they won the series. I wouldn't say that Friday, you said we outdueled Sandy Alcantara. I wouldn't say we outdueled him. He went 8 innings and struck out 12, had 2 walks. But we were able to get that run in a situation where it was situational hitting. It wasn't a home run. It wasn't like we, beat the walls off of them. We came through at the end of the game because we were losing. And
right, but I guess maybe the way I mean it, when Kyle Gibson's the guy going opposite Sandy Alcantara, he knows going into that he's got to be perfect. And what did he do?
Yeah, and I wouldn't say, like I said, he went 6 innings he gave up 1 run.
Yeah,
but my point is
he matched him step for step there.
I would say that win was probably the more of the character win because obviously you had Sandy Alcantara is a Cy Young favorite right now. So you beat him. The bottom line is he still pitched phenomenal. We were able to win a close game, which is what I'm trying to get at with the fact that Rob Thompson, for all the kind of negativity that's been surrounding him lately, because obviously in the beginning he didn't get negativity because we, turned the season around from basically being stuck in nowhere's land with Joe Girardi. But Rob Thompson, to me, his best quality is the way that he gets this team prepared. And it seems like every time they do have a little bit of a losing streak or they start to struggle and, battle, it's basically overcoming adversity. And a lot of people were already down on this team going into this series because they're like, here we go again. It's the same old, including myself. Yeah. So to be able to turn that around, I think that speaks volumes about Rob Thompson. I know that you're not a huge fan of making him the full-time manager, and maybe he hasn't worked his way to that yet. I get that. And even if they make the playoffs, maybe he's not. But my point is you could see one thing that you can't say about Rob Thompson, whether you might have, issues with the way that he's still using the lineup or whether you think that he's not aggressive enough, you cannot say that Rob Thompson is not a leader and that he's not able to get this team, mentally prepared. And they are playing for him.
He kind of, I'm not going to compare him directly to Charlie Manuel because Charlie Manuel obviously won us a World Series. He was here for the bulk of the great run. But Charlie Manuel was a players type manager in baseball where the players played hard for him, where the players, respected him. If he wanted to dress him down, if he was benching Jimmy Rollins for not running out a ground ball or whatever it may be, they respected him. And you see a little bit of that for sure with Rob Thompson. But yeah, I mean, you say you bring up like his bullpen usage or his lineup usage and stuff like that. But still, you want to say it's not too big of an issue, but it's still an issue. And there are still question marks about whether Rob Thompson could manage a team in a playoff run. He's never been the guy in the big chair for a reason. So I still do question him as a manager. Now, I'm not trying to be negative after a great weekend. I mean, he had his guys ready to play this weekend. There is literally nothing you can say negative about how this weekend went. This weekend went perfectly. It really did. He even, which was a total non-Joe Girardi thing yesterday, I was so happy he gave Aaron Nola the 9th inning. Now, he had to pull Aaron Nola in the 9th inning, but Joe Girardi would have pulled Aaron Nola after 7 or 8, even though he had sub 100 pitches and said, "Nah, you're not getting that. You're not getting that chance to complete your, outing." He gave him the chance, gave him a couple base runners, so they pulled him for Alvarado. But, so Rob Thompson is doing the right things. There still has to be questions, though, about him big picture this year, because I still have to say that he does not give me the confidence when he's managing that bullpen. The Nick Castellanos and the 3-hole conversation, we don't have to get into it, but it still is a question mark to me why he hasn't made a change. You got it. You can't be totally 100% positive on Rob Thompson that he's the right guy right now or for the future when you see what we're doing. I mean, yeah, we won.
Yeah,
we had lost
point,
4 games in a row before this.
I think you missed the point. The point I was making was that regardless of what your thoughts are on the guy, one good thing about him and the one good quality is that he gets this team prepared. When they are struggling, they come back from that. That's what I was saying.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that
I said he's got that Charlie Manuel,
the guy that
he's got that Charlie Manuel attitude, and personality that the players want to play for him. I get that. It does not mean though it wins games.
Well, they're winning games right now. They just won 3 games,
and they lost
the
4
Marlins
games in a row before that.
I know, but are we really going to do this?
3 wins makes up for 4 losses.
Are we really going to do this after they won? They just won a 3-game series against the Marlins.
Rob Thompson. I'm going to say it.
Listen. I was the one that brought it up. I said he still struggles with the lineup. He still struggles. I don't think we're on a different page. I just think we're kind of not.
You're just sticking to the pot. That's fine. That this weekend, every button was pushed correctly. Ranger Suarez came out, pitched well after 15, 16 days without pitching a game, gave you 5 shutout innings. That was excellent. Excellent work. Everybody he put in that lineup on Saturday, whatever that lineup was, I have yesterday's game still up. That lineup mashed on Saturday. Even Didi Gregorius was able to hit a home run, which has been almost a full calendar year since he hit a home run. And the buttons were pushed right this week. That there's no doubt about it. But if you want to be considered a legit playoff contender, you can't have 4 losses in a row and then have to win 3 in a row just to get that back.
Well, let's blame the players.
Got to be able to stop those losing.
Let's blame the players for that. Like, how about Nick Castellanos finally do something? I mean, listen, we could be nice about Nick Castellanos if we could keep playing the nice guy role, but obviously the guy sucks right now. I mean, he's
okay.
So then he's hitting 251.
That is on Rob Thompson by leaving him in.
Okay, it's on Rob Thompson.
Part of it is on Rob Thompson. Yes, part of it's on Rob Thompson.
Okay.
Because Rob Thompson is leaving him in a position where he's set up. He's struggling. There is literally no doubt about it. Nick Castellanos, well, he's getting some base hits now. Let's be honest. He's starting to hit the ball a little bit, all of a sudden. But Nick Castellanos has probably had his worst year, maybe since his rookie year? It's been a long time since Nick Castellanos has struggled in the bigs. So why leave him in the 3 and 4 hole nonstop? I know we don't have anybody else to put there. But put somebody else there. You don't just keep putting somebody that's struggling out there every single day in a bad.
That's where
your players up. That's
where your GM needs to come in. Your GM needs to come in because he is in his first season as a full-time manager. Okay, so sometimes you're gonna have a guy that's gonna have struggles with maybe making certain decisions. I think he's scared. I think Nick Castellanos. It's the money that he makes, and it's the attitude that he has. It's the tough guy mentality. Like, he's just not willing to have that conversation. And maybe Dave Dombrowski needs to get in his ear and say, "Yo, Rob,
so
we need you to move Nick Castellanos out of the 3 hole."
So it's Nick Castellanos' fault. It's Dave Dombrowski's fault. Why can't it be Rob Thompson's fault?
Phil.
I'm just saying.
I'm not saying it's not his fault. Like, you're missing my point. Like,
no,
it's just
I see your point right now. I see exactly
because you obviously don't. You're obviously not sold on Rob Thompson, and that's
I'm not sold on him. But
okay,
I've also said that he's
when are we going to start holding other people accountable? Like, what has the GM done?
The GM has done absolutely nothing.
Okay, Harper's out, Segura's out. Like, what? I mean, I get that you're going to listen. The manager always takes the fall. No matter what, it's always the manager. I deal with that at work. But okay, yeah. But Nick Castellanos still is struggling, regardless if he's in a 3 hole or not. Like,
so you give him a break.
A guy that's making that kind of money to be able to figure it out. Okay, he's hit all his career. Give him a couple
Go at
days
it.
off.
I've got to put my players in the best position to succeed.
Give him a couple days off.
Andy Reid. That's the Andy Reid line. Got to put my players in a better position to succeed.
Maybe the All-Star break will be the break that we need.
And look, and let's be honest. Nick Castellanos, he's not hitting for power. He did have like a 7 or 8 game hitting streak there for a little while. He started to get some base hits. He did get a double this weekend, but I kind of feel like, I don't know if you saw that double that he hit. Kind of thought it should have been maybe that Marlins outfielder should have caught that. I don't know. That was kind of like a bogus double in my mind. But
he's got 46 RBIs. I mean, it's not like he's not producing at all.
He's not going to, he probably won't get to 100 RBIs, but he'll get to 90, 95 RBIs. So we're pulling straws here looking for the way it went and everything, but it is what it is. Look, I'm not trying to say that that Rob Thompson's doing a bad job. I'm just trying to make sure our expectations are tempered a little bit, because you've got a guy leading your team that is not proven that he can lead a team. And that's all I'm trying to get.
That his fault necessarily, though. He's never been in the position. So, like, that would be like me saying, okay, I became a full-time store manager, but I've never done it. Or, does that mean that I'm not going to be successful? I mean, you
can't have blind confidence that you will be successful.
Well, I could have blind confidence because I'm confident
in yourself, but you can't have blind confidence in
I don't necessarily agree. I'm not saying blind, but I'm saying we got to give the guy a chance. He's obviously done. I think
a chance whether we like it or not.
I think he's done a very good job. Okay, like this team was legit out of the water. They were not going to make the playoffs with Joe Girardi, and they now have a legitimate shot to make the playoffs. A lot of that has to do with Rob Thompson.
So can I ask you a question? This is this just popped in my head. So if this comes out with the wrong words, I don't know. Give me 3 seconds to phrase this the right way. No matter what, you just said it right there. No matter what, Joe Girardi, this team was failing with Joe Girardi. There's no doubt there. They had to fire him. We talked about that weeks on end on this show. Now, if they fire Joe Girardi, when they did, and instead of Rob Thompson, they promote Dusty Watton, Larry Boa, Charlie Manuel, Jason Voorhees, anybody into that manager's role, do you not agree that spark, no matter who they put there, would have probably, maybe not 9 games in a row, but that would have lit a spark on this team no matter what, correct?
Yeah. In the beginning, yes.
So we could take that 9-game honeymoon win streak out. And then since then, what have they really done outside of that 9-game winning streak? They're only a couple games over 500. So they're still, you take that initial spark out of the equation, the Phillies are still just an average team at this point.
They're an average team that lost their best player, their second best hitter, their third baseman for a week. They've lost a lot of stuff. You can't deny that either.
No, I'm not
denying. And that's part of the problem. Like when you kind of when you evaluate where a team is at and where they're at now, you have to take that into consideration. Like, okay, is Bryce Harper definitely going to come back? I mean, obviously the early reports were 6 weeks. Okay, well, 6 weeks would be probably mid to end August. So is he going to be back, and is he going to come back healthy? Because the problem is once you're injured, we've seen how that hurts players' confidence and their ability at the plate. It's happened a lot in this team. I mean,
Mickey Moniak. Mickey Moniak
is the guy
in the world. Breaks his hand, and now did they just send him back down to the minors last week or earlier this weekend? Yeah, I mean,
listen, Phil. I agree. Like I said, I don't.
On a side note, Mickey Moniak. I mean, I was on that hill 2 years ago. Even the people that troll us on social media about the Phillies. I mean, I'm sure we could go back and find quoted tweets from 2 years ago about me planting my flag and the Mickey Moniak is going to be a stud. And everybody told me I was wrong. That boy just can't put it together. It breaks my heart. I still want to stand with my Mickey Moniak flag and just hope someday that flag, I can wave it high and be like, yes, I was finally right on one thing.
Dude, I'm right with you because I wanted Moniak.
He's got the skill set.
We needed him to succeed being a first-round pick. I mean, it's just mind-boggling.
Remember, I put that statement out there early in the year when he came off that DL or the IL. That's really hard to change. The IL, that there was going to be undue pressure on him because our center field position was so bad to begin with. So there was going to be unexpected pressure on a 23-year-old kid, and he obviously hasn't been able to handle it.
And I mean, now they just actually the Phillies yesterday just drafted a new center fielder. So
Isn't he a high school kid though?
yeah, but my point is they still drafted a center fielder, so they obviously don't have they have zero confidence in Moniak, and it probably signals the end. I mean, he'll probably be involved in any trade that we make, and for the reasons why another team might want him, it'd be kind of a throw-in, and it changes scenery because we've seen that. Phillies,
all sports.
It happens all the time. So, like I said, I wish him the best, but I don't think he's any part of our future at this point. I think it's safe to say that. We've had enough sample sizes where it's like, okay, he's not really what we need. And
well, see, the thing is, I think if we had, how do I phrase this? Like if we were in the position where it was like we've spent so much, if we hadn't gone over the luxury tax, and if we were still just like kind of a slow climb type team,
slow build,
like not a rebuild per se, but like a slow build kind of team, we could have given him time to figure it out. But the Phillies are all in to an extent this year, next year, so on, because they've spent so much money. They don't have time to let him develop and struggle in the bigs. They need somebody that can play that center field position right now and next year. They don't have the luxury of time with Mickey Moniak because of the money they've spent on this team. And that's the unfortunate part of it right there.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, listen, you know me. I'm selfish. I'm the kind of guy that wants the Phillies to go and get Juan Soto, even with the lineup they have right now. But I know that ain't happening. I'm a realist.
Trade your entire farm system for Juan Soto.
Well,
let's talk about Juan Soto for a second. Let's get on that. Obviously, it's going to be this is almost a weird question. What's going to be a harder trade for any team to make in any league? A team trying to trade for Kevin Durant and what it's going to take to get Kevin Durant, or what the team is going to have to trade to get Juan Soto? I mean, could you imagine the amount of prospects the Nationals are going to want for Juan Soto? I mean, the kid's what's Juan Soto, 24? I think he's only 24 years old. Maybe 25. I'll Google search it real quick.
I think he's younger than that.
He might. I mean, could you imagine what they're going to want for a guy?
He's 22, dude.
He was born in 98. He's 23. He'll turn 24 after the season's over. So he's 23 right now.
Yeah.
23. He's an all-star player multi-time. He's a masher beyond belief, but he also just turned down a 15-year, $440 million contract. Well, so he wants out of DC so badly.
That's the ultimate betting on yourself kind of vibe right there. If you turn down a deal like that, because honestly,
what's his name? Snyder. There's a point guard for the Lakers. I brought him up a few months ago on the show. He was offered like a $90 million deal to stay with the Lakers. He said, no, I'm going to bet on myself to get a max deal after the year's over. And now he's making $2 million a year because he got hurt and nobody can give him anything now. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I'm just concerned. I don't want the Mets to get him. I don't care if the Phillies don't get him. I don't want the Mets to get him because
do the Mets have enough of a farm system and trainable?
That's who they're being linked to. It's being linked to the Mets or the Yankees. They're saying they're the two favorites.
I just figured it was being linked to them because they're two teams that don't mind spending the big money.
No, the Mets have a lot of prospects too that they would like. Or high level to the point that the Nationals would be interested. They've been linked to actually Soto's been linked to the Mets for like a year. But like I said, who knows? I mean, you know how these things go. It depends on who has the best offer.
Right.
If they even do end up trading him. Like I think obviously I'm saying I don't want the Mets to get him.
Well, here's the thing. I don't even think it's a money thing for Juan Soto. I don't even think it's like, well, he wants more than 15 years, $440 million. He just doesn't want to play in Washington. Now, whoever he does get traded to, they better do their due diligence. They better have time. Say the Phillies were in on it, and the Phillies had to trade Painter and Abel and Moniak and this, whatever it may be. Trade all these things. I would not, if I was a GM of any team, make that trade unless I got to sit down with Juan Soto first and negotiate that contract. Because I'm not giving up all that for him to then say, no, I want to go into free agency anyway.
Yeah, well, that's the point. Like, when you get to these kind of things, it's like you don't know who to believe because there's so much noise from the inside and the outside. And we've seen it where you've talked about this a lot. You've actually talked about it about how it happens in Eagles land. Like, you know, how certain things get out there. Like you had mentioned even on the Jalen Hurts front, that, you know, the report from Derek Gunn that maybe that was an inside source that kind of pushed their narrative. Like, it happens a lot.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
We don't know what the truth is behind it. We just know what, you know, the facts are. And the fact is he just turned down a huge contract. And I agree with you. I think he doesn't want to play in Washington more so than he doesn't want, or he wants more money. Because, I mean, dude, that's a lot of money. Like,
you know what? I don't get upset about the money in sports. It's not the players' fault that the ownerships have and all the different leagues have competed against each other and let contracts become bloated like they are. I don't get upset about it. It's just it's the course of sports. That's how it goes.
Nature of the business.
It is. It's the nature of the business. But at 23 years old, do we really know if he's worth more than $440 million? That's the thing. It's not like, you know, he's been Albert Pujols for 5 years or Mike Trout for 6 years. He's been in the league for a couple of years and he's still young. And look, he's having a terrible year. And here's the thing that really digs me on this. He wants out of Washington. He will not sign any of these extensions to stay in Washington. He is playing some really lazy baseball right now because he's not motivated to be there. That kind of tells me a little bit about his character.
Yeah,
that I would be concerned giving him 15 years because when he gets frustrated, he's just gonna. I don't want to be. I'm gonna be he's kind of got that Ben Simmons. I don't want to do this anymore attitude.
Dude, it's bothersome. You're right.
It really
you just nailed it. I would not want that on my team.
It's a very negative energy, a very negative type culture to set forth. And yeah, I'm sure there'll be wherever he goes and gets traded to and signs the big deal. There'll be the honeymoon phase where everybody will be buying jerseys. Everyone will be loving them. But the first sign of trouble, will he just pack his bag and sit miserable in his locker every day? And when you're committing that kind of money, that's a concern to me. And if I was him, I'd be out there balling every day.
See, Bryce Harper is the opposite of that. And that's why it was so awesome to get Bryce Harper. Because, like, he not only did he exude that fire and that energy up until his last days in Washington, he wanted to come to Philly, and you could see it more and more. Like, every single season where he gets better, like last year, obviously, the MVP year, it's like the perfect situation. And that's like the antithesis of Juan Soto. Like, absolutely. Juan Soto is like the typical, like you said, like it's somebody who's just has a lazy attitude and is not going about it the right way. If it's a Bryce Harper that's giving his all, that is frustrated with a team and wants out, could you really blame him? Because he's a guy that cares and gives a shit.
Or just say, hey, till we figure this out, put me on the bench.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's ways to do it.
You know, because him on the field, he's not giving 110% because he doesn't want to get hurt. Just take him off the field till you figure it out.
I agree 100%.
You know, him just going out there with that, it just really, when I noticed it during the last Washington series, he just, the attitude at the plate, the approach, he doesn't care. I would be extremely, extremely concerned giving him that deal. 110%. It's crazy. It's crazy that I don't want him in Philly almost to an extent. I mean, we don't have a chance because we don't have anything to trade for him. But
you're saying even if we did have it,
not wanting that personality in Philly right now, and that's insane to say.
Completely. It's a legit point, though, Phil. I mean, you have to look at it. It's crazy because I don't see more people saying that, but it's like a red flag. Like,
it's a massive red
flag.
It really is. I mean, the Yankees can afford it. You know, the Yankees could afford to make that kind of a mistake. You know what I mean? Because they always spend the money. They got so much money up there in New York. It's like a printing press at Yankee Stadium. They can, man, if they make a mistake, they can look at the Mets even. I mean, they made the Robinson Cano mistake. and they just printed out some more dollar bills at their printing press and
Bobby Bonilla.
Bobby Bonilla. I know exactly. That was a couple weeks ago. I mean, they can handle those mistakes. The Phillies, other teams, they can't. They don't have the printing press like the New York teams do. So, the cost to get a guy like that with the risk involved, man, I'd have to be doing. If I was the GM, if I was Dave Dombrowski, and the Nationals came to me, I would have to do some. I'd not just talk to him about an extension. I would have to have some really serious conversations with him, the person. I saw a rumor, Baltimore, because Baltimore's got a lot of prospects, and Baltimore's formerly a great baseball city, and they're on the cusp. I didn't even know they're right around 500 now. The Baltimore Orioles. Now, would he want to go to Baltimore if he doesn't like DC? I doubt it, but a team like Baltimore that's just starting to turn a corner. If I was going to do that deal, I'd have to have some serious conversations with him, the person, to see who the person is. Because, man, I wouldn't be committing all those prospects and all those years of money with that personality.
I mean, listen, I know at the end of the day, it's all about who gives up the best prospect package.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm the Washington Nationals, I'm not trading Juan Soto to the Phillies or the Mets. I don't want to trade him in anywhere near my division.
Absolutely
because
not.
Not if I want to win.
Great.
I mean, would I want to face that? Because especially think about like the chip on his shoulder that he'll have to play those teams. I know, maybe that's not a big deal in the scheme of things, but
it is.
I wouldn't want to trade any star player like that in my division. Just wouldn't.
Not at this point in his career when he's 23 years old. And you're talking a 15-year deal, now with the universal DH, 10 years from now when he can't play the field anymore, you still got a DH that can match the baseball. So, I would not want to have to face him. Absolutely agree with you on that point. All right, let's get off Juan Soto, because Juan Soto's, honestly, the odds of him coming to Philly, I don't know what the odds are, but I would put him at like sub 10%, sub 5%.
I was going to say 5%.
Yes, sub 5% chance that the Phillies even are in the conversation. Even the conversation, they're probably sub 5%. But the Phillies do. So let's talk second half here. All right, second half, unofficial second half. We've already passed the midway point, but the All-Star break is kind of that first half, second half divide there. The Phillies, in my opinion, still need Dave Dombrowski needs to be working those phones this week really badly, because we really do need to make some moves if we're going to legitly contend for that playoff spot. We are tied with the Cardinals for the last wild card spot going in the All-Star break. We've got to make some moves, and they can't be the Matt Moore type pitcher or Chase Anderson type pitcher or a Matt Vierling type center fielder. We need a center fielder, someone that's going to go out there. We need somebody that is going to pitch and start. Like, we need somebody that could slot into the 3 spot in our rotation, not a 5. We need to make moves now before the deadline, 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks before the deadline, so that we're not just treading water. We have a pretty easy second half, Jason, of the schedule, but 2 of our first 4 series are against the Braves. So you take the Braves part of it out, we've got a pretty easy second half, but we do come out and have 5 or 6 against the Braves right away. I'm concerned that Dave Dombrowski is going to wait till the last second and just get another Kyle Gibson. And that's not going to be good enough, in my opinion. Where are you on what the Phillies need to do here to really make a statement to their fan base that we are for real all in to at least make a run towards the playoffs here?
Well, I don't think it's a secret. You and I kind of both agree that even though the hitting has kind of been suspect at times, the hitting's still there. Mm-hmm. And you will look to be getting Harper and Segura back, which is 2 huge bats that you're missing. And that's almost like making a deal at the deadline. So I'm looking at the starting pitching as being the number one thing that we need to target. And the guy that I have on my radar, I know a lot of people like the guy on the A's, but the guy I have on my radar is Luis Castillo from the Reds, which I think you could get. You're going to have to give up some pieces, but I think you could get him without having to give up Painter. And I know right now he's only 3-4, but he's on a bad Reds team. He's got a sub-3 RA at 2.77, 82 strikeouts, 27 walks. He's very consistent. Last year he had a bad year in the first half. And then the second half, he was actually almost Cy Young level in the second half. He's a guy that's, obviously can dominate, and I think he would slot perfectly right into that 3 behind Nola. So
yeah, I like that you brought him up. I'm looking it up right now. I want to see how much more player control or team control. So he is still under team control for next year too. So you would not be trading for him just as a rental. You would be trading for him this year and all of next year, and then you'd have all that time to negotiate a long-term deal with him. I love that idea.
And then if you want to get
guy I want.
Well, yeah, and then if you wanted to kind of get what's the word? Like fancy and try to add a bat too, because sometimes you see these deals at the deadline.
Yep.
They got Brandon Drury, who's kind of a journeyman, but he's having a really good year as far as at the plate. They also have a center fielder that you could target, Almora Jr. They have a couple of guys. The Reds are always in fire sale mode.
You can make a multiplayer trade with the Cincinnati Reds for sure.
Correct. So that's who I'm looking to, but I don't know what the shot is because I know there's going to be a lot of teams that want.
It's going to be the Frankie Montas / Luis Castillo sweepstakes at the trade deadline here, and they're the two guys I would prefer. You're going to be competing with a lot of teams for them, and I know people. I brought his name up just as an example earlier in the show, like a couple weeks ago. You got the Jose Quintana deal. He's available, but he's an older veteran. That's kind of having if you look at his numbers,
he reinvented himself.
Yeah, he really struggled for about 3 or 4 years there, and he's kind of reinvented himself, but he's a rental as well. And to me, Quintana is more on the Kyle Gibson side of the equation at this point in his career. He's not going to be a guy that's going to slot in that 3 hole, and you can have a lot of confidence being a shutdown guy. Now,
what team is Quintana on? The Cubs?
Pirates. He's played for the Pirates. He played for the Cubs and the White Sox, or the White Sox and the Cubs, and now he's with the Pirates now. So he's going to be available. The Pirates only signed him really to see if he could reinvent himself and then trade him some point this year for prospects. I would rather trade for Castillo, Montas, including a Logan O'Hoppe, a Mickey Moniak, those kind of players to get them, than just trading a mid-level prospect for a Quintana, because I think it makes a bigger impact on this team.
Phil, you're right. You want to have a needle move, not because the fan base or to appease everybody. You want to do it because realistically, if you're going to compete in the playoffs, I'm looking at all the teams that are in your competition. Mm-hmm. Although that you have your top 2 frontline starters could compete with anybody in a 7-game series, I'm not so sure. I look at our rest of our starters and say I am confident in a playoff series. Now, if you get Luis Castillo, now all of a sudden the conversation changes because now you have the advantage actually as in pitching, where if your offense, which we all agree has been inconsistent, but if your offense is plugging on cylinders at that point, you have a legit shot to contend. Not only make a far run, you have a shot at contending. Right now, I look at it, it's like if we get in, anything can happen. And yes, in a 3-game series, I think the Phillies would be favored because you got Nola and Wheeler. But you have to look at the long term. And like you said, those 2 guys are controllable after. So next year, you would have a legit, really good starting pitching staff. With, if you looked at it, say you got Castillo, so it would be Wheeler, Nola, Castillo. Now all of a sudden, Gibson's your 4, and you can let Ranger Suarez kind of develop as your 5.
Absolutely.
It's just right now. You're right. It's like almost like
and there's some rumors. I don't know if you saw it. I think it was yesterday. Zach Eflin, who everybody knows, I'm not a Zach Eflin guy. Everybody knows I'm not a fan of Zach Eflin. I don't think he's a great, or even a good major league pitcher. But a lot of people have confidence in him. He was pulled from his he wasn't in a re-up start. I think he was facing like a simulated situation, and he was pulled from that because his knee is the discomfort's there. So my guess is Zach Eflin, my guess right now, you're not going to see Zach Eflin pitch the rest of this year.
I wouldn't be surprised.
So those people that are Zach Eflin supporters, you just lost that guy for the rest of the year probably. He's probably done. He's probably going to have to go in and have some procedure done on his knee. So Dave Dombrowski can't wait till the deadline to look at Castillo or look at Frankie Montas. He needs to be working those phones right now.
Absolutely, which is surprising because you're not hearing any rumors that they're
from
close
any teams. From any teams, the names are out there, but it's not like the trade. What it takes is it's that one team has to make the first move, and then all of a sudden the trade market kind of jumps into full gear. Whether it happens now or 2 days before the deadline, it just takes that one team. Dave Dombrowski needs to be that aggressive guy now, before the Reds get 7 offers for Castillo or the Athletics get 5 offers for Montas. Be the guy that just goes to him right now and be like, yo, here's Logan O'Hoppe. Here's Mickey Moniak. And here's a list of other prospects. Pick your choice. Obviously, you're keeping Abel and Painter off that list. But, hell, who's the guy in the minors that they talked about, the center fielder, Rojas? That they're saying he could be next year's Mickey Moniak, a guy that steps in and fills that role potentially. Throw him on the list. Go get me Luis Castillo or Frankie Montas with 2 top prospects like Rojas and O'Hoppe. Throw in Mickey Moniak and see where you're at. They might say no, but they also might say sure. That might be. I think O'Hoppe is a very, very valuable trade chip, and I would be willing to move that chip for a pitcher that you got control for the rest of this year and next year.
Well, he's a catcher. I mean, he's obviously, and he's one of the best in as far as prospects in baseball. I know the Mets, I think, have the number 1 catcher, but Logan O'Hoppe's quickly rose up that board, and he's definitely a valuable asset. I think you could get Castillo without giving up Painter. I do. I really believe that.
I'm not giving up Painter for anybody.
No, no, and that's my point. He's the only guy to me that is on my no trade.
Actually,
I may be willing.
Can I say something real quick? He's not on my no trade. He's on my no trade this year because I don't think what you would get for Painter this year is enough for us to win a World Series.
Well, yeah,
I would trade that chip for the piece that puts us over the top as a World Series contender.
Well, that's probably what I meant.
Some people are like untouchable forever. Blah blah blah. I don't believe any prospect. Like I said, I would trade Tyrese Maxey for Kevin Durant. Nobody is untouchable in my opinion, but it has to be at the right time for the right play.
Yeah, I'm definitely not trading Painter now because he's still raw and he still has a lot to grow. And you're right, you're not ready this day, second and minute to win a World Series. But I think, like I said, Castillo, Montas, like any of those guys, like I'm willing to at least part with some good prospects. Mm-hmm. I'm not willing to trade for a rental at this point because, like I said, we still in the conversation that we need Phillies to be better with their prospects. So if I'm giving up prospects, it has to be for somebody that's going to help, not just this year, but next year. It has to be. It can't just be like, let's just get this guy to help us. Because what happens if you don't? Then you just threw away another prospect. And that's what happens with the Phillies. That's part of the reason why we're in the position we're in.
Absolutely.
Because we were giving up so many prospects. Now, listen, they weren't like world beaters or guys that turned out to be all-stars. But, I mean, some of them were pretty good, like J.P. Crawford. Like, I just don't like getting guys that are – like, I remember when we traded J.P. Crawford. Who did we trade him for, by the way?
We traded him with
Carlos Santana. Oh, we traded
him with Carlos Santana.
Yeah, that's right.
For Gene Segura. I
Was
forget.
it Segura?
I don't remember, but we had to include him in the deal because of the Carlos Santana contract that was such an albatross, and we had to give something to be able to entice for the trade. Yeah, it was basically Santana for Segura, I believe, and we had to throw in, J.P. Crawford.
Yeah, I couldn't remember that trade.
Let's try to predict how the rest of the season's going to go. Are you confident? How do I say this? Where your thought process, bold prediction wise, for the rest of the season for the Phillies?
Well, my bold prediction is that they will make the playoffs, but there's a precursor to that. Dombrowski has to make a move. Like, we need something. Yes, we can't just sit back and be like, okay, let's go at it with what we have. Because that could backfire real quick, especially on the pitching front. But I do believe that I think this break is going to give, I'm hoping that Nick Castellanos can kind of just mentally reset. And, maybe it'll be like a fresh start. Like, I know it's only a week, but a week off is a week off. Like, you know how you feel when you take a vacation. Like, it's just you come back to work and you're refreshed. So I'm hoping that this week away can help a guy like him. Kyle Schwarber, like I said, he's just kind of picked up where he left off in June. I mean, he's still tearing it up in July. So I think Kyle Schwarber to me is a guy that, and like I said, I'll apologize again. I was wrong about Kyle Schwarber. Like, I still don't like the fact that he only hits 212. Like, I don't like that. And I'm allowed to not like that. I don't like the fact that his average is piss poor. But I'll tell you what, he can mash the ball, and he's definitely been our MVP this year. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he hits 50 home runs. I know we always talk about the pace and where he's at.
He's at 29 home runs right now.
He's definitely going to – I think he'll reach 50. I don't know. I'm going to say 52.
I was saying, what was Ryan Howard's top? Was that like
58?
58. I was going to say over under 55 home runs.
I'm going to say under.
That's only 21 more home.
I'm going to say 52.
52.
So I don't know what that would be.
Yeah,
that's still a lot of.
That's a lot of freaking home runs.
A lot of home runs, man.
Yeah, bold predictions. Okay, I'm going to give you my bold predictions here, and then you're going to tell me, am I going too far over or too far under on each prediction? I'm going to say he's going to hit 55 home runs. Obviously, you disagree with that. I think Nick Castellanos is going to get on a tear and get to 95 RBIs, and he's going to hit over 20 home runs this year, which means he's going to have to get on a really big tear there.
I mean, I don't think – I know you're saying it's bold, but I don't think it's that bold, because if Castellanos just turns it around a little bit, he's going to be better than what he's been. I think I agree with you. I think
next bold prediction: Rhys Hoskins will be included in any trade for a needle-moving pitcher. That's my prediction there on that. Now, if not for a Jose Quintana, but if a Frankie Montas or a Castillo or somebody like that, a controllable needle-moving pitcher, Rhys Hoskins will be included in the trade.
No.
That's a bold prediction on me. Next one. Aaron Nola will finish the season with a better ERA than Zach Wheeler. It's a bold prediction of mine.
True.
I know. Dude, can I just say, and you don't have to get into it detail, but Zach Wheeler's got like, a 2.7 or 2.8 ERAs. Aaron Nola's right around 3.1, 3.2. Zach Wheeler, even though his ERA is really good, he seems visually, the eye test, to be struggling. Like he's still putting people away, but he's not doing it as efficiently as he did last year.
Listen.
I mean, he's still pitching great.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I think it's when you have a season that's that good. We talked about Aaron Nola's year when he almost won the Cy Young. Like, that's a phenomenal year. Like, last year, what Wheeler did was a phenomenal year. Just because he's not reaching that climax to those numbers does not mean he's not having a good year, and does not mean that Phil is bashing Zach Wheeler. Yeah. Phil is just simply making a statement of fact for all you Twitter haters and people that come and bash him. Yeah. Every time somebody says something negative, it doesn't mean that we want them to fail. We are just simply saying our opinions and what we see. And the eye test shows exactly Phil is right. Zach Wheeler is not having the same type of season that he had last year. That is a fact.
Yeah. The next bold prediction: the Phillies will not make the playoffs. Sorry. That's my final bold prediction. I had them at 82 wins this year. I thought they were going to go 82 and 80. I think they'll do a little bit better than that. I still think it's going to take, because the Cardinals are really good. The Braves are going to be a wild card team. You know, the teams ahead of them, I think it's going to take 89 wins to lock up that final wild card spot. And unfortunately, I think they're going to probably hit about their peak at about 85 wins, because, and let me finish this, I don't think Bryce Harper is going to be back as soon or at all this season as people hope he is.
I think my bold prediction, because mine goes against what you just said.
Okay.
I'm predicting that Harper's going to be back sooner than you think.
Okay. I think that most people figured September 1st, September 10th, somewhere in that range. Some people are boldly saying on the short end August. I don't think we're even going to be talking about Harper back till September 10th, September 15th. And I think at that point it might be too late. And yeah,
I know Bryce Harper.
If we don't get Bryce Harper back before September 1st, 85 wins is the max that this team can get to.
I think he's going to be back sooner. I think Bryce Harper is. I seen a tweet of somebody that saw him down the shore and he was real smart. You know, he's smiling and he was just real friendly, and the person was happy that he stopped and took a pic. He was on his bike. I think if I know Bryce Harper, he wants to be back sooner than anybody. Like, he wants to be back. And I know that I have faith that he heals quickly. He's very healthy. He's a healthy guy. He takes a lot of time, in the weight room. And I think he's going to be back I think he'll be back on the 6-week nose. And
Gene Segura will be back very soon. I've heard
Gene Segura is actually probably 2 weeks away.
Practice. They said over the All-Star break he was going to be hitting against some simulated at bats, against some live pitching. So Segura is really, really close to coming back, which I'll be curious to see what they do with the infield when Segura comes back. So I think Bryce Stott's earned that almost everyday playing spot. So has Bohm. Bohm's averages up to over 275. Didi, the Phillies love playing Didi Gregorius. You got to play Segura. So what do you do with that infield when he comes back? And that'll be a big, interesting thing to see in the lineup. Do they go 50-50 Stott, Didi? Does one take kind of a precedent over the other? I don't know. It should probably be Stott, but we'll see how that plays out.
I think Didi makes sense to me at this point as a bench bat, a left-handed bench bat, or a guy that fills in, for the guy's day off. I think you have to go with Stott. Like, if you want this team to be in the position where they're, I know they're past the rebuild, quote unquote, but if you want this team to fix its failures of the past, it has to start letting these guys develop. And Stott, I know his average is still not where it needs to be, but Stott, I'm very happy with what I've seen in his first year. I know that's crazy to say when the guy's hitting under 200, but honestly, Bryson Stott will develop into a better player. You saw it with Alec Bohm, and the confidence that Alec Bohm got, after he made that mistake. Remember where he had the bad game and he cursed and said he didn't want to be here or whatever, and he admitted it. And you see the confidence that came though when he was left in the lineup. Mm-hmm. And here's my bold prediction: I think Alec Bohm's going to hit 300 this year.
Yeah, that's very possible.
And I think JT Realmuto is going to hit 20 home runs. I think he'll turn it around.
He's already started to turn it around
second half, and I think. I think Kyle Schwarber will get his average up to 250. I know he's at 211 right now, but I think he's going to start picking up. I don't want to say he's not going to hit home runs, but I think he's going to start hitting more for like line drives, and he's going to get that turned around to where.
So to finish that, Segura thing, it kind of leaks into my bold prediction from before. The Phillies will make a move for a starting pitcher. Rhys Hoskins gets traded. In that trade, Bohm moves to first, Segura second, Didi short, Stott at third. That might be your infield there if you move Rhys Hoskins.
I mean, it could happen. I'm not saying it won't happen, but I think Rhys Hoskins would be involved more for somebody better than Luis Castillo. Like, I think
you're moving Rhys Hoskins, a needle mover as a pitcher, and I think instead of if they say we want somebody that's pretty highly rated, you might be able to get Luis Castillo for a Hoppy, Moniak, and Rhys Hoskins.
Yeah, I just don't know if I'm taking away that bat, especially if Harper's not coming back, like you say. Yeah, I don't want to just move a guy that's able to basically provide more power than 90% of the people.
I guess it's because we have such a poor.
I think a lot of people just want to. Yeah, listen, Rhys Hoskins, I told you, I'm not even a Rhys Hoskins fan. Honestly, I could care less if he gets traded. But I don't think it's necessarily a wise thing to do. when you're in a playoff race and you don't have a full offensive, stable right now. I'm not trading.
I'm not saying it's a good idea. I'm just saying it might be something that has to happen to get that needle moving pitcher.
Well, if it has to happen, then I'm probably doing it.
Are you? So if you can get Frankie Montas or Luis Castillo, and you find out that we don't, because the final sticking point was that they wanted Rhys Hoskins in the trade, and Dombrowski said no. Would you not be pissed off?
Yeah, I would be pissed off. At
Exactly.
that point, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so real quick, we only got 5 minutes left. The baseball really screwed Phillies fans. I don't know if you saw this. 2 of the first 3 games after the All-Star break are on streaming service. The first game Friday night, we cannot watch unless you have Apple Plus TV. What? And then Sunday's game is another one of those Peacock-only games. 2 of the first 3 games for a team that just had a sweep, that's in a playoff chase, is being put on things that 80% of Phillies fans cannot get unless they have to pay extra. Dude, I'm kind of pissed. And I think a lot more baseball fans need to stand up and get these teams to stop putting these random games on these streaming services and taking it away from the people that watch the games on a nightly basis. It kind of sucks, You
hear that, John Middleton? If you're listening.
Yeah. I don't know if it's even
listening to this show.
I think it's Major League Baseball's call. I think it's Rob Manfred or whatever his name is.
Rob Manfred, if you're watching DSM Trending in the AM if you ever see a snippet of it and you happen to see Phil. Yeah, exactly. Screw you.
Kind of screw us. All right, so tonight, will you be watching the Home Run Derby tonight?
I will.
Kyle Schwarber, the number 1 seed in the bracket format that they do, which I kind of like. Will Kyle Schwarber win the Home Run Derby? He is not the favorite, even though he's the number 1 seed. Not Juan Soto.
Alonso.
What? Yeah, Pete Alonso, the 2-time reigning, defending, undisputed Home Run Derby champion, Pete Alonso, is the favorite. He's the number 2 seed. Will Kyle Schwarber dethrone Pete Alonso tonight?
Absolutely. Hell yes.
Hope so.
Kyle Schwarber is going to dethrone Pete Alonso on national television. And that'll be our one thing to brag about as a Phillies fan this year.
Can I just say if Kyle Schwarber doesn't, so I don't know if everybody out there's paying attention. So Albert Pujols is in the Home Run Derby, and he's the ACE seed. So he goes head to head against Kyle Schwarber in the first round. Look, Albert Pujols is not Albert Pujols anymore. He's on his farewell tour right now.
Hey, man,
one of the greatest players of all time, in my opinion. Probably one of the most underrated superstars of all time in baseball history. The guy's only 14 or 15 home runs, shy of 700 home runs. Post-steroid era. I think it's amazing what Albert Pujols has done. If Kyle Schwarber was to lose tonight, I would love it to be against Albert Pujols, and Albert Pujols just find lightning in a bottle and just hit 100 million home runs tonight. Just turn back the clock, walk off the field with the home run title, and just retire right there, then and there. That would be like the ultimate mic drop. Just win the Home Run Derby. Boom, I'm out, guys. See you later. That would be pretty awesome.
That would be really awesome, dude. I love Albert Pujols. I agree with you. I think he's probably the most underrated. He is the most underrated, star player of our time, because you look at what his numbers are, like career, all across the board. Like, he hit for a high average for a long time. Obviously, in his later years, he's kind of dipped. But I think Albert Pujols, yeah. I mean, you're talking about, we got to see Albert Pujols and Miguel Cabrera, like both of them.
Another majorly underrated player in his career.
Yeah, I mean, I think you definitely can make the case of, I think Albert Pujols will definitely be a top 50 player of all time, maybe a top 25. Probably is a top 25 all time. And so. Cabrera makes my top 50. I mean, I look at like their numbers and what they did, and offensively and defense. I mean, Pujols was steady at first base. I mean, he wasn't like, some slouch that just sucked at defense. Like, he was a great player.
He won a Gold Glove. 1, 2. I'm counting right now how many. 1, 2. He won 2 Gold Gloves at first base, so he wasn't even a slouch there. I mean, not only did he lead the league in home runs and RBIs from time, he led the league in hits, doubles, runs scored, batting average, on base percentage, slugging percentage. He led the league in grounded double play balls too. But still, Albert Pujols, like, he does not get the respect he deserves as one of the greats. So I want to see the mic drop tonight. Win the home run derby, walk off, and it's still, out of all All-Star game and All-Star game festivities, the home run derby to me is the most fun of them all. There's nothing like watching home run balls just get launched into the moon.
I agree. I think it's better than the actual All-Star game. I mean, it's more fun to watch. I mean,
Absolutely.
we talked about it like
The dunk contest has gotten boring.
I don't know if it was on this show,
not.
but like, do you remember that the old school home run contest where they used to have like Willie Mays versus like, Willie Stargell and stuff like that? Like that was pretty cool. And honestly, like that's kind of what got me into the home run contest. And now obviously, it's kind of progressed into a more of a, it's more entertaining.
Yeah.
They've made a whole day of it, but it's definitely fun to watch. I think Kyle Schwarber is going to win it tonight. I have a weird feeling. I just feel like I saw his interview yesterday. I interviewed him about, making the All-Star team. And, he seems like a really humble guy. Apparently his family's like in law enforcement.
Okay.
Very, very, he just seems like a humble guy. Like he's not like a guy that like wants the limelight, but he's a guy that kind of can shine in the limelight, if that makes sense.
Yeah. All right.
So.
All right. We'll see how it is. I mean, obviously we'll talk about it tomorrow morning, but hopefully Kyle Schwarber, the last time he was in it, Rhys Hoskins and Bryce Harper were piggybacking around him. He beat Rhys Hoskins and lost to Bryce Harper in the finals. So we'll see, full circle. Now he's representing the Phillies this year. So we'll see how that goes. We're going to wrap the show up there, Trending in the AM right here on DSM Media. We'll be back tomorrow morning. I got Brian Cameron from Philadelphia Sports Network talking tomorrow, coming on to talk Eagles. We are 8 days away from training camp starting. Football is right around the corner. We will be ramping up our football talk on this show these next couple weeks as we get closer and closer to the start of the football season. I cannot wait. We got I think Dylan will be joining me tomorrow morning because you got to work tomorrow, Jason, morning wise. So everybody have a great day. Make sure you do me a favor, like and hit subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. If you're not watching on YouTube, the other platforms, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, head over to the DSM Media YouTube page. My top 10 or top 20 running backs debuts tonight. Top 20 wide receivers. I forget what order I set them to go. One of my fantasy football list shows will be debuting tonight at 8 p.m. on this channel, but it's only on YouTube. So make sure you head to the YouTube page and hit like, subscribe, notifications on. For Jason Voorhees at Mustang3651, I am Phil Stifle at Beard and Knowledge. Yo, let's ring the bell like 600 times tonight for Kyle Schwarber, bro.
Ring the bell.